heal as a team, we're going to crumble. Inch by inch, play by play, till we're finished. We're in hell right now, gentlemen, believe me. And we can stay here, get the shit kicked out of us, or we can fight our way back into the light. We can climb out of hell. 1 inch at a time. You know, when you get old in life, things get taken from you. I mean, that's part of life. But you only learn that when you start losing stuff. You find out life's this game of inches. So is football. Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, 1/2 a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. 1/2 second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us. They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second. On this team, we fight for that inch. On this team, we tear ourselves and everyone else around us to pieces for that inch. We claw our fingernails for that inch. Because we know when we add up all those inches, that's going to make the fucking difference between winning and losing. Between living and dying. I'll tell you this, in any fight, it's the guy who's willing to die who's going to win that inch. And I know if I'm going to have any life anymore, it's because I'm still willing to fight and die for that inch. Because that's what living is. There's 6 inches in front of your face. Now I can't make you do it. You got to look at the guy next to you. Look into his eyes. Now I think you're going to see a guy who will go that inch with you. You're going to see a guy who will sacrifice himself for this team because he knows when it comes down to it, you're going to do the same for him. That's a team, gentlemen. And either we heal now as a team, or we will die as individuals.
Ideas are bulletproof.
Welcome to the show, guys. Today's Sunday, July 31st, 2011. This is Down the Rabbit Hole, and I'm your host, Popeye, from FederalJack.com. Today's guest is a really, really special guest, and I am really honored to have him on my show, and I'm super excited to have him on my show. I'm a fan of his work. I first read his book, Target Patton, a couple years ago, and I have talked about it on air many a times. The listeners, you guys have heard me say hundreds, if not thousands of times, you need to go check this book out because it will just completely blow your mind, you know, the history that you don't know about World War II. And this is just a microcosm of the things that went on. But it's one of the most incredible books I think I've ever read, and it's a personal favorite of mine in my personal library. And I am just super excited to have the author of Target Patton, Robert Wilcox, on with me today. So without further ado, I want to bring him on and let him start to introduce himself to the audience, and then we'll get into Patton's assassination. Robert, welcome to the show.
Hey, Popeye, thanks for having me. It's real good to be here.
Again, like I said, it is a pleasure to have you on, my friend. Your books, and you have written more than just Target Patton. Robert is an author of a vast array of books, and I suggest you go check out his entire collection of things that he's authored. But Target Patton is my personal favorite, and the information that you came across and then you provided in the book is just incredible. You took a long time to put the book together, right? It wasn't just slapped together. It was a period of a couple of years.
No. It's like any book you write if you do it well. And I will say I'm a journalist. I'm a writer by profession. That's what I do for a living. I'm a historian. I'm a screenwriter. I live in Hollywood. I've had a career in that, but I'm mainly a book writer. And 10 years ago, and this is the way books come up. You know, it's every a writer's life is, what are you going to do next? What are you going to do next? And I'm sitting in my office right now, and I have literally hundreds of ideas for books, and some of them rise to the top, and the problem for a writer is to sell to New York or someone else, because I don't have independent funds. I have to get an advance, and then I can go out. Well, about 10 years ago, my cousin, who happens to be a private investigator, has his own firm. It's an international firm, and he hires a lot of former CIA, FBI type guys to do work for himself, spooks as they're known as. And we were in Los Angeles. We were working out together, and he said to me, I don't know what the conversation was about, but I know the guy who killed Patton. And I said, what are you talking about? Patton wasn't murdered. He died in an accident, a Jeep accident, in fact. That's what I knew. That's what I thought I knew. And he said, no, I know a guy, and he's told me the whole. He didn't tell my cousin the story, the whole story, but he intimated about it, and they were good friends. And the man's name was Douglas Bazada, and he is a key factor in my book, but I didn't know anything about Douglas at this time. So I said, well, this is really interesting. Let me hear about this. I really didn't know what was going to become of it, but as a result, he put me in touch with some of Bazada's friends, and eventually I was able to get to Douglas Bazada, and he is a key in the book, and I'll leave it right there to go on in a moment.
Yet he is, as you say, a key figure, but I know exactly who he is, and it's the information he comes out with is incredible. I mean, I didn't even realize, and I do a lot of research, but I didn't even realize that the CIA, or back in World War II, it was called the OSS, the precursor to the CIA, and I didn't even realize that they had guys that were called Jedburghs, which is what Bazada was. He was one of these special black ops guys. I didn't even know they had that back in World War II. It's just and that's just the very tip of the iceberg.
Yeah,
I mean the other information that you talked about in there was the Soviets, the NKVD, which was the precursor to the KGB, their involvement in it.
Well, in the end, I believe that it was an OSS KGB operation together, and that's what the evidence seems to suggest. And as you said, the OSS, you see, America didn't really have any kind of organized spy operations, intelligence operations. All the various services had them, but they weren't that big, and there was no coordination. And the first coordination came in World War II, when we were in a huge fight, and we needed to have some sort of overall intelligence agency, and so they started the OSS, the Organization of Strategic Services. And this was headed by Wild Bill Donovan, and they were the forerunners of the CIA. After World War II, they had become so strong, and they had a lot of secrets and things that a lot of people were afraid of, and they were kind of quashed. And out of them came the CIA. When I say quashed, that really didn't happen. Basically, all the OSS guys went over to the CIA, but the overall organization was quashed. But the first special forces that we ever had, organized special forces, were these Jedburghs that you're talking about. And the Jedburghs were an idea of the OSS. In addition to spying and doing all of that, they also did operations, and they would send guys in behind enemy lines and so on. And to do that, they organized these Jedburghs. The Jedburghs were really suggested by the British. Jedburgh is a town in Scotland, and back in the medieval days, the fighters of Jedburgh were just terror guys. People were afraid of them. They had axes, and these axes would lop off your head or split it or whatever. And So they gave them the name the Jedburghs. And what they did was they went out and they found guys who were especially tough guys, smart guys, and guys who and I mean smart because they spoke different languages and they could handle all types of spy apparatus, signaling back and forth. And they picked these guys, and one of the first ones. Well, let me say one of the most decorated.
What? I'm gonna cut you off, Robert.
That's okay.
We're going to break. Stay right there, guys. We'll be right back. We gotta go pay the bills. We'll be back in about 3.5 minutes. Stay tuned. You do not want to miss the rest of the show.